right, here we go. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yo.
And we got to turn it down the other way. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Fantasy Waiver Wire. As always, it's your boy Tubby, aka the champion, aka back in here, ready to go, ready for another season, man. 2024 season, man. We're ready to do it again. It's our 7th season in the big Baller Boys League. But before I get too long, man, with me as always is Greg. We're back for another season, man. This is our 4th season total. 2 Eagles podcasts, and then this is our second season doing the fantasy football podcast. And both times, man, back-to-back years, we were able to, whether it was the Eagles the year before or then us in fantasy last year, both ascending, look at the whole season. It was fun. We had something to look forward to the whole season of the last 2 seasons. And we're back for another one, man. What's going on, Greg?
Oh, things are great right now. I mean, it seems like last season just ended. I know the Eagles particularly started off 10-0 and things were great, and then it all went to hell. But it's okay. That's how football goes. You can't win every season. And luckily, unlike other teams in our division, we've won a Super Bowl most recently. So I still have that to hang my hat on, and I will always hold on to that. But I think that going into this year, not just, fantasy wise, but I think the Eagles look very promising on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And it really will just depend on how it comes down with the new coaching hires and how the players adapt to that. And then the new additions, of course, Saquon Barkley, which should be really good for fantasy behind the Eagles offensive line, even better than he was under the Giants. So there's so much to like about this season overall, not just the Eagles. As far as fantasy goes, it seems like it's one of the more deeper years that I've ever seen as far as the draft. You could draft, just blind, like have the 10th pick out of 10 teams and you walk away and be feeling good about yourself, no matter who you pick up, because every team seems to have a couple players that you might, keyword might, be able to count on. So I'm excited that football is back. It doesn't seem the same when it goes away. Right. Sundays don't seem the same. I watch like racing and golf and hockey and basketball. Not the same.
Right.
And so having my Sundays back of just dominating from morning till evening of football, it just makes the world feel right. So I'm glad and I'm glad to be back here with you doing this for another year. We had a great first season just doing fantasy only. And I think that we had a pretty good engagement, and hopefully we build that back up with the listeners and then get some more social media stuff out there and get rolling.
Yeah, man. 100% agree, man. The Eagles, I'm not much on drafting my Eagles players, but they're so loaded. I may change my mind this year. But to your point, man, there's a lot. This is the deepest draft I think I've ever seen. I've done a few mock drafts already, and it's like you feel like every decision you're making is wrong because so many teams have shifted philosophies just because, a player was good last year. Man, we don't know how that translates to the next year. I mean, look at a team like the Houston Texans, just to highlight a few groups, right? Look how loaded their wide receiver core is. Now, last year I picked up Nico Collins and rode him all the way to the championship. I didn't even know this. I didn't even know who he was. I didn't even see him in college. Obviously, you do for obvious reasons. He went to Michigan. I'm not going to say obvious reasons. He went to Michigan. I didn't know who he was. I never heard of the kid. And I didn't even know that was his second year in the league. He wasn't even a rookie. I didn't even know that. So then you have Tank Dell.
Yeah.
pick up what's his name from Buffalo?
Stephon Diggs. They had Stephon Diggs. I mean, geez, that team is scary. I'm glad they're in the AFC. CJ Stroud going into his second year after winning Rookie of the Year. They get Joe Mixon at running back. They got Dalton Schultz at tight end. I mean, give me a break. If they play defense just half as good as they're capable of,
right,
this is going to be a really scary team in the AFC, and it could threaten the Chiefs' stronghold in that conference. Like I said, I'm just glad they're not in the NFC.
Yeah, 100%, man. And
you're right. There's so many.
Go ahead.
I was saying there's just so many. If you look position by position, I can say without a doubt that wide receiver is probably the deepest it's ever been. You're going to find at least 2 good wide receivers in this draft on your team, if not 3. And then you could take a flyer on a few potential sleepers.
Right.
Quarterback. I mean, you probably can wait till the 7th or 8th round on a quarterback. Now, I know you like to take Mahomes with the first pick, so we know he's off the board in our draft because I ain't picking him in the first 3 rounds.
Oh, man.
You've got just a few. Jaden Daniels has shown promise. Anthony Richardson, Caleb Williams, Jalen Hurts. You know, Brock Purdy, if you want to go just strictly pocket passer. Aaron Rodgers coming back from a freaking injury. If you're in a 10-team league, you're going to get a quarterback. You're going to get a decent quarterback. And then you go tight end. You know, last year, Sam Laporta had a breakout year. And then you've got the mainstays and Andrews and Kittle. But then now you've got other guys thrown into the mix like Kincaid. And these guys are like, and it's like one of those things like, which one do you want?
Right.
You know, which tight end do you want? The one position that I think is going to be the hardest to draft this year is running back. And mainly because there is a deep running back class, but there's so many of the platoon running back situations. So you got to look for a bell cow, and there's very few of every down backs in the league. You know, Saquon Barkley is one, you know, out there that you could get. Breece Hall, of course, is on everybody's radar because he is the man in New York. Bijan Robinson, everybody knows those guys that are just going to be the man. But then you got to look at people like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery's situation. That's back again. Last year, I had Montgomery in one league and I had Gibbs in the other, and I'd start them both, and they'd both score points. So it's a crazy situation, but that's the only position. Other than that, man, this is going to be a fun draft.
Yeah, and it's going to be a fun draft. It's going to be a fun league because, you know, in the years prior, if you dropped a player, man, it could really hurt you. Now you can drop a player, and because it's so deep, there's other players that can pick it up between a few points here or there.
Right.
You know, key decisions, and you know, as we all know, how your team starts, maybe not necessarily how it finishes and wins you anything. You know, Jordan, you know, for instance, George Pickens. Let's take George Pickens, for instance. Had him all season. I had Njoku all season. They did nothing pretty much for the whole season. All of a sudden, they put, I think, Mason Rudolph in the end of the year. Didn't work out with, I think, Trubisky. Didn't work out with Pickett. But all of a sudden, they put Mason Rudolph in. Boom. Pickens had those 2 long touchdown games. All of a sudden, my whole season turned around. Another case in point, at the Browns. All of a sudden, Flacco comes out of nowhere, and his favorite target just so happened to be the tight end I've been carrying all year, Njoku, on the bench. Boom. Pick up Nico Collins. You know, most of those guys, they didn't play most of the season, and they carried me through to the end just throughout the season. So it's even going to be crazier this year. We are using a new app this year. We're using Sleeper, and the biggest difference with that league and with that app and this platform that we're using versus Yahoo last year is that we have 2 flex.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
2 flex in there. Now, we won't see that today because we're going to draft a standard 10 men, but we're just getting on here to break the ice, see what players are out there. You know, I've watched a little bit of preseason, but my Eagles have been the only team that feels like they're above playing thy starters.
You know, it's weird though. I mean, yes, the Eagles didn't play a single starter on offense for all 3 games, but there were a lot of teams that really limited starters that had maybe 1 series. Because I was watching other stuff on NFL Network. I'm like, this is the most unwatchable preseason that I can remember. We were talking about it at my work with some friends, and it was like, I think since the Eagles value the joint practices so much, I think it's time that we reduce preseason games to 1 or 2. People are shelling out money to go to these games, and they're not seeing any stars even for one series. It doesn't make any sense. Let's just do practice and then get going with the season. I guess it's the revenue thing of just having those 3 because people are still paying to go to the stadium, which to me is crazy. I wouldn't go see a preseason. I'd go see a practice. I'd go see a practice and joint
It's
practice.
a warm up. You know, you do need the preseason because you got guys trying to make rosters, and their only way for them to really, have a shot is that live action. You need the refs to warm up because they've been calling games all year.
Yeah.
You need the stadiums to warm up. You don't want those opening day mishaps. There's a lot, but I've heard rumors of them going down to 2 games.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
But then would you extend the regular season one more game? These players are barely making it through one season now. Football is too violent of a sport to just casually extend it. There's a reason why we haven't been back in 7 months. It's been 7 months since we cracked these mics last. 7 months. Why? Because it's football.
Yeah.
Baseball, they play 182, 162. Basketball, 82. Soccer, these guys play up to 60 games a year sometimes. Football is different, man. So, but I was a little disappointed that I didn't see any of our starters, especially in a new system. I think you got to go out there and see it live. I know you have your joint practices, but I mean, call me crazy, but if Doug Peterson and Andy Reid, I'm naming them because those are 2 previous Eagles coaches, and they are both Super Bowl champions, and they played their starters. Mahomes played 2 preseason games.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, Mahomes was the best quarterback in football, and he's playing 2 preseason games. 2. Right. T. Law, down, speaking on Doug, he played a series. He didn't go too long with him, and then you even seen Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy played multiple series.
Yeah.
Like, you have starters that are out there in the same system and are out there playing. And the Eagles are in a fresh, brand new system. And we're being gun shy. I mean, the last 2 seasons, we had 10-1 starts, I think back to back or something like that. At least, our first 11, 12 games were mostly winning during that time, man. But let's get into this mock draft. We won't get too long-winded today.
Yeah, no worries.
Get into this mock draft. We're just trying to break the ice today and see what players are out there, and then, make some comments as we go. I do want to welcome back Kang TTV. He said, I was a frequent watcher last year and won my $200 buy-in league.
Nice.
Just nice. Yeah, man. Congrats on that. Says, just drafted again in the same league. Curious of your thoughts on my team. Jalen Hurts, Marvin Harrison Jr. Man, it's crazy to see that name up there. Amon-Ra St. Brown, James Conner, Shad White, Evan Graham, Butker. I thought it was Buckner.
Butker.
It's Butker. I thought it was an edit in there. Anyway, Ravens defense, Chase Brown. I'm not even familiar with right now.
Chase Brown? Yeah, Bengals. Well, that's because I'm living here in Ohio. Chase Brown is the heir apparent to Mixon.
That's why Mixon left.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and he came on really on fire. In fact, I think just looking at this, Kang, I think you might be subbing in Chase for Rashad by game 2 or 3. I'm not completely high on Rashad just yet. I'm gonna kind of wait and see mode on him, but you probably look like you drafted wide receiver heavy first.
JSN. I'm gonna be honest, it's not clicking for me right now.
Jackson Smith and Njibba.
Another
good pick. If that's
Ohio State guy. See, this people that say back-to-back Ohio dudes that you Jigba went to Ohio State, right?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. Yep. All right, Jaleel McLaughlin, Jacoby Myers, and Khalil Shakir. Man, let's see. I'm not familiar with a lot of like the leagues that play defenders, even though I am in the league that won it, but I just picked like one defender and set it for the rest of the season unless he got injured. So I'm not too savvy there. But I mean, off the top, Jalen Hurts, you're never going to go wrong from a fantasy perspective with Jalen just because you have the touch push alone. If you have first downs in your league, first push on fourth downs and the touch push across the line, he's going to get you a lot of points running and passing. Marvin Harrison Jr., man. I really can't call it. I'm not that big on the entirety of the Cardinals offense. They haven't really shown to be an explosive offense outside of, Kyler Murray being in and out hurt. So I'm not really sure there. But as the player, oh man, I mean, he's right up there with any rookie. I'm sure he'll have he can mess around and easily have an 900 yard
Right.
rookie year. St. Brown, you want comment on the next one, St. Brown?
Well, of
The
course,
whole
yeah.
one was dope.
Being originally from Detroit and most of my family is Lions fans, I'm the black sheep of the family because I
Yeah.
went the other way. But yeah, I like Amon-Ra quite a bit. In fact, the word is out there on every fantasy message board. He's probably the lowest risk wide receiver that you can draft this year. He's gonna get his touches. He's gonna get his points. He's not really threatened by anybody else on that team as being the guy. They've got solid players on that team. Don't get me wrong, but and Laporta is not going to vulture his touchdowns. He's gonna make plays. So I think that's a solid pick. Going back to Jalen Hurts, I mean, how can you go wrong with what Jalen has got this year? I mean, you're going to have Barkley out of the backfield. You go Brown and you got Devontae Smith and Goddard, but now they added Jahan Dotson as the slot wide receiver. That is crazy to me. Now, they went off in the offseason and signed Paris Campbell from the Colts, and I thought, okay, he's all right, but they weren't satisfied, and thank goodness, because they cut Campbell and brought him back on the practice squad. So, yeah, I think that Jalen is going to, if he doesn't put some numbers up under Kellen Moore's offense, which is going to be more motion, more spread, I think that it would be, it's going to be a bad year for Jalen. He's going to underperform with that. I mean, half the mediocre quarterbacks in the league could put up numbers with those weapons. So
it's definitely loaded. Definitely 100% loaded. You just hope everything works out. This is, again, a new system. It's just like every day is like 51st dates with Jalen. Every year he has to learn something new.
Yeah.
I think the only person on the hot seat with the Eagles is the head coach.
Oh,
that is it. The only person's job on the line this year is Nick Sirianni. I really do believe that they paid Jalen too much into it. They paid him last year, so that ain't going nowhere. But I think the only person that needs to be under the microscope this year is Sirianni. You can't just keep going through staff.
But what is he even going to do this year? He's not calling plays on offense or defense.
Yeah. I think he's always been the weak link, but I think he's when you go to the Super Bowl that first year, you can kind of get a lot off you. It didn't really work for Jalen. I mean, he was booed the first half, back, but that's just playing in Philly. It's always going to be a little different for you. It's not like Philadelphia is not a usual situation. Most people most cities appreciate winning in general, but like the Eagles with their, 20 Super Bowls are so used to winning. We do anything wrong. Anyway, I digress. But I think the only person on the hot seat is Sirianni, man. I think he's always been the weak point. I think they've always had the team to do it. I think he walked into a ready-made team, and I don't think they really got the job done. But anyway, Rachaad White, James Conner, man, Rachaad White, I expect him to be, bell cow again. He's always a good pass catcher and rusher. James Conner, man, I'm not really that high on James Conner this year. I think as the years go on, he starts to kind of creep down. He can be spotty. He normally starts the season really well, but then something happens and it kind of trickles down throughout the season. Butker, he's a hell of a kicker, man. One of the best in the league besides him and old buddy from the Ravens.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with those two. Ravens defense, same thing. Ravens defense, not only that the Ravens defense are good, they have an offense that keeps the ball a lot because they run the ball a lot and they just drain possession. Chase Brown, like I said, I can't really speak on Chase. I didn't really see a lot from him last year. I know now that I remember, I know he had a couple breakout plays.
Yes.
Towards the end of the season. But I just, I've seen some players and seen him get in a few times, but I don't know what type of season like overall he had. And then, man, Myers,
I think
Shakir,
going back to Chase and Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think that those are two solid. If those are two of your bench picks, I'd be looking at those might end up on your starting lineup before too long, Kang, because Chase Brown, his only other competition really in Cincinnati is Zach Moss, and I think they have Travion Williams, but Zach Moss is coming there. But Chase Brown can catch balls out of the backfield. He proved that last year. I mean, I know because I'm in Ohio, so he's on all the time. So that one is, I think, a very solid bench pick, and that's somebody I've got my eye on as well. And you didn't hear that because we're drafting on Sunday. And then as far as Jackson Smith and Jigba goes, you've got a kind of a new regime in Seattle that's kind of getting their feet wet. I think that DK is going to have a solid year, but all signs point to Jackson Smith and Jigba having a kind of a breakout year. Where last year they didn't utilize him. He's coming into his second year. He's got hands. So those are two players I would keep my eye on. Maybe you don't start them week one, but I keep my eye on them. And if they start consistently performing, you probably got yourself a pretty good, a flex on one of those and one of your running backs. You can, if Connor doesn't perform, like I said, I like Connor, but I don't know if I would draft him unless it was like, okay, I'm looking at all my running back option and he's the best one available. So that's a hard part. Yeah. But we'll see how that goes when we draft.
Are you in the 12-team league? It sounds like a pretty deep league.
Yeah.
Versus like the 10-man, that first draft looks like super strong. I mean, I'm not saying it's not, but running backs are hard to come across as it is. But
especially in a 12-team.
Right. But man, now we're going to move into our little mock draft, man. Get in here, see who's out there. And yeah, let's just matter of fact, I'm gonna come out of this. I'm gonna start. I forgot it's another pop-up that goes along with it.
You got it.
Let's see. 10-teamer. Probably should have got this one. Yeah, 12-team full PPR league. Greg, you see that?
Okay. Oh, is that what you said? Yeah.
12-team full PPR. Yeah, that's what I figured. Let's just share. Yes. All right, man. Let's jump in this draft. 10-teamer. I'm picking together. We're drafting 7th. Here we go.
All right. Let's see.
I love a draft, man. You love to see it. Oh, where's my draft at? I didn't.
Except if you have a really good one, then you're kind of mad it ain't for reals.
That is true. But man, like I think the whole I think what you said earlier was the main thing, was that it's the draft is so deep that there we go. Now we're in draft. The draft is so deep, man. It's really hard for me to get upset at almost anything. Because I think it's going to be, I think no matter who or what you draft, I think there's always going to be room, man. There's so much out there.
Yeah, there's options.
Yeah, looking at this, even looking at the preseason, I'm like, man, there's a lot of teams that are pretty loaded. I want to see what Malik Nabers does, or Nabers. I want to see what he does out there with the Giants. I want to see what Daniels does in our league now. In our league, or in our conference, rather. Daniel Jones, it's probably his last year out there with the Giants. Maybe some turnover there, but you can't sleep on them.
No.
Man.
I think that Washington is probably going to be better than New York, but we'll see. I mean, I think that Jaden, I think his first year is going to be a lot like Justin Fields with the Bears. There's going to be a lot of running. They may not take the training wheels off and let him, hurl the ball downfield just yet, but he's such a weapon that you can't take it for granted. And when the Eagles play him, they're really going to have to play contain on that kind of thing, because he's just explosive. So I think that's a dangerous weapon in our division. I'm not really happy about, but it's much more dangerous than Daniel Jones, in my opinion. Daniel Jones hasn't shown anything, and that's why I would worry about drafting the Neighbors, because what is he going to do? I mean, if you got that guy throwing to you, they're total rebuilding to me right now. And like you said, I think Jones is gone at the end of the year.
We have the Chargers running back. That's why I need to get back in the rhythm of football. Uh, yeah, in our league now. Eckler, Eckler's with Washington now. It's a really big deal. We'll see how that goes. You know, people can catch a resurgence. You just never know, man. I don't know. I feel like the NFC East is once again one of them. I still think the Eagles have the overall better team.
Roster wise, definitely on both sides of the
Roster-wise.
ball.
Yeah, for sure. Roster-wise, you know, without a doubt. We'll see. It's a lot of changes. I don't know if you saw this year, 55 minutes before the mock draft starts. I think I'm really ready to see something different, man. We'll see. I don't know. I just really want to
I'm
see how
definitely
our defense is what I want to see mainly this year. Our offense, you know, has been, you know, obviously 2 years ago they were really good, you know, number one in rushing, you know, solid year. And second year it was like we were winning, but it was like barely. But our defense has never really been good. I want to see if our defense can play well for once in 3 or 4 years. Like, I know we led in sacks, but maybe our secondary. How about that? Our
right.
secondary. See if our secondary can
Yeah.
stop somebody, man.
Well, you know how I feel about Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator. I don't like the bend but don't break thing, but I'm hoping that it's just a matter of guys that have come into Philadelphia running that system that just weren't good at it. Like when Gannon was trying to run it and Jim Schwartz was trying to run it. I think that what I saw in preseason didn't look to me like the typical Vic Fangio back off the line of scrimmage defense. Plus, I think the weapons are better. You know, Mitchell coming in from the draft. You got Reed Blankenship back. We're going to get Sidney Brown back. He isn't going to be ready at the start of the season. Of course, we got Darius Slay back on a new system. You know, the Cooper DeJean coming in. You know, there's good defensive backs that can play in the system. Then we got Nakobe Dean coming back for another year. Can he be the guy that we thought we drafted? Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis. It's like they've got the pieces. Can they
Right.
play in this system and do really well? We're
Right.
gonna see.
And that's yeah, man. And that's really what it comes down to, man.
Yeah.
It's like you can't even argue with the Eagles roster on offense, at least.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
See,
like their
hopefully
defensive
there's no
roster.
leadership drops on the line with
Yeah.
Kelsey being gone. I do know that I think Jalen's calling the protections this year. I think that was Kelsey's job last year. We didn't do really well against the blitz last year. So let's see if maybe that's different. Somebody else is calling your protection. Now you're calling your own protection. Let's see if that's a difference.
Right.
You know, maybe Kelsey was calling it wrong last year. I mean, apparently somebody was calling it wrong.
You know, he picked Cam Jurgens as his heir apparent. I trust him. And you know, we saw Cam play in guard last year and he played pretty well. So I've got, you know, we got Lane coming back. He says he can play another few years. So I like, you know, Jordan Mailata coming back. I think they still got a solid line. You can't replace a Kelsey completely. It's just he's a Hall of Famer. He's probably one of the best centers, if not the best center in the history of the NFL. You know, you can make arguments for others that are out there, but Jason Kelsey is definitely one of the tops. And so, yeah, it's hard to replace, but I think they'll do well offensively. It just comes, like we said, comes down to the new coaches. Can they perform?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
man,
is
it's
the
going to be
first
a
pick
doozy.
already been made? Is this person still waiting to make the
No,
pick?
it's the draft hasn't started yet. It says draft soon.
Oh,
Draft
starting
starting soon.
soon. Okay, I thought it was
40 minutes. Yeah, it'll.
I thought 57 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that now. When we went in, I thought that was the start. So
Yeah,
hopefully
man, this
they
thing
don't
is like
take
queue
forever.
after queue. It was like a queue to get all the
Double
real
Q.
people in there. That's like 5 minutes, and then
Right. Makes
it's
sense.
like, all right, everybody's in. Let's check it out. So, yeah, man, just trying to get some fresh eyes on everything that's going on. There's a lot of. Let me look around real quick. Let me see. Ugh. Look at that. Brees Hall's fourth. Like, man, he's
Yeah. No, I mean, and he showed such promise last year. And just think of what he would have done with a full season with Aaron Rodgers. You know, I think that's the big thing. If Aaron Rodgers stays healthy for an entire year, you got Garrett Wilson, you got guys on the Jets that can be really beneficial to your fantasy team with Rodgers, no matter how old he is. But the key is, does he stay healthy for the whole season at his age?
yeah.
Or does he
Yeah,
have
man.
some sort of miracle cure? Is
I think
he
Yeah,
Is he
that's part of it.
injecting baby fetuses into his veins so that he can regenerate himself? I mean, he said last year that he was going to be completely fine and come back from the injury. Crazy. It's like, all right, so who we got off the board?
All right. So let me look. I can.
'Cause it started now.
Yeah, it started. So we are picking in
7.
one spot. Let me see. So far, these are the draft results.
There we go.
Christian McCaffrey, Brees Hall, Tyreek Hill, Bijan Robinson, and CeeDee Lamb. And then it is us.
Nice.
All right, man.
So
Who you
listed.
like here, man? Let's see. I was drafting for myself. I would like obviously you got to go one of these wide receivers here. Chase, Justin Jefferson, or St. Brown.
I'm scared of
Oh, Justin
Jefferson.
Jefferson.
I'm scared if we go for Justin Jefferson. I'm scared with Sam Darnold throwing to him. That I know he's going to get his,
Yeah,
but I think Amon-Ra is the more dependable pick. But
for
that's
sure.
who I would go for.
Yeah. He's just such
Chase.
a
Or Chase. Chase
he's
is probably
just
his dog.
such he just demands. Let me get the draft board up. That would probably be a little
I mean, that's my big thing on Jefferson is I love him as a player. I don't like their quarterback situation right now. You know, without Cousins, who was definitely feeding him the ball, what does Darnold do? I mean, what has Darnold ever done?
yeah.
You
I
know,
think how you can benefit from a fantasy perspective is that they may like only throw it to Justin Jefferson.
right.
He's messing around, get 12, 13 catches a game just because
Again, almost. Yeah.
they're scared to not throw it to him. All right, we're back up. But yeah, like here, let me go back to the players.
Yeah. I mean, you could go wide receiver again, but I
Running
personally, I'm
back here.
looking at running back because they're going to go quick,
We got
and
10
the wide receiver core is deep, and you've just got Jefferson. So
Saquon.
yeah, I mean, if it were me for real, I wouldn't take him because I don't want to jinx the Eagles. But in this fat mock draft, I'd definitely take Saquon.
Let's go. They only 30 seconds. So
You can
here, so
draft all the Eagles in this one. I'm the same way with you. We were talking about drafting Eagles and not liking it because the whole stupid NFL fan superstition thing that we do, where we draft our own team's players and then we put them in the league and they don't do well.
right.
And then you think that that's because you're bad luck to your own team. It's a stupid thing, but the best way to avoid that is just not to draft them all together. Try to find a healthy alternative. So like I said, I'm drafting 5th in our league this Sunday, and looking at this mock, man, I don't like the fact that in this mock, McCaffrey and Hall come off the board right off the bat, and Bijan goes 3rd. And now you've got look at the running backs. Kyron's gone. Derrick Henry, I'm not big on Derrick Henry this year. Jonathan Taylor, yes. I am surprised he went in the first round, but surprised, not surprised. I think back healthy with Anthony Richardson, I think he's going to have a big year. I would hope he would fall to the 2nd round, but we'll see.
London.
Yeah.
Pick.
Here's the thing with Falcons is that he got Cousins, and for all his faults, he can get the ball to his receivers. That's why you got to really look at Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts has sucked, but look who was throwing him the ball. You had more what's his name? Marcus Mariota that was there. You saw how bad he was with the Eagles.
Right.
He was with Atlanta throwing to Pitts has just had the benefit of just not any good quarterback.
Right. I think the systems they've been in Atlanta, it's like they don't target them. I think the reason why Pitts will be high off the board, I think he would have been high no matter what, because you have a few tight ends that are on the pup list and coming into the season. Let me look at I know Hawkinson had the injury last year.
Yeah, Hawkinson, I'm afraid of any Viking. Laporta is back. Kittle looks good. Schultz looks good.
Look at the
I wouldn't go tight end too early.
Right.
There's going to be people that are going to be jumping on Laporta and Andrews. Right. But if you wait after those two go,
Andrews, those guys had injuries.
Yeah,
like towards the end of the season, and we'll see. I mean, you can't skip over them though.
No,
this year, I mean, if you look at, it's a lot of good. I don't think you can go wrong. You should be able to get a solid starting receiver.
I agree.
All right, so we have wide receiver and running back.
Yep.
Is running back our dime a dozen? You want to go back to the well on running backs?
I would look and see what's available if there's not a good one, because I'm looking at that board, man. They're taking everybody right now in this
Right.
mock.
You know, Achan was hot last year when he was healthy.
Yeah.
Cooper Cup, man. I don't. Debo, I'm not high on those guys. We'll go Achan. I don't know. Who did they pick? I don't know. We ran out. Who did they get for? Oh, Achan. We got him. Okay. All right. He was
It was
next
like
anyway.
it all pop up.
Right. Cooper
Yeah,
Cup.
HN is a star, man. He's got such raw speed. I don't think that that's a fluke. I think that if he stays healthy, he'll have a good season. So Cooper's gone. Yeah, that's not a surprise. Cooper Cup is back. He's going to be the guy. I think that I think that he'll have another solid year. We'll see.
I had Cooper Cup in my other league like a year ago, but last year I didn't have him. Man, you know, Cooper Cup, man, he can definitely in the PPR league because he's going to get you some catches. You know, surprisingly, man, he doesn't get a lot of touchdowns, but he'll get you some catches. I think his best year was like 2021. And then like after that, it hasn't, I don't know. When you look at player stats from an overall perspective, you go, huh. Like that year when he won like the Triple Crown, that was like peak, man. But now they're spreading the ball with Pakua, his name? Like Pakua or something like that.
Puka Nakua.
Pook. Yeah, man. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not high on I think the Rams offense as a whole. Maybe Kyron Williams.
I like Kyron, yeah, definitely.
But I'm just not really sure, man.
It's a hard one. I mean, Stafford is up there in years, but
up there.
Yeah, they're still
One hit.
solid. It's still solid. I think I wouldn't worry about Cooper Cup too much. Debo, I think I'm surprised he's still on the board, because Debo, if Ayuk doesn't resign with the Niners,
he just resigned.
Did he resign? Because I had heard today that
news. He resigned
today,
120 million or something like that.
Okay. Well, good for them.
Look at that real quick. Yeah,
that's solid. All right, there you go. All right, yeah, Brandon Ayuk for you. I guess that's just breaking news. You heard it here first. No, you didn't. It was on ESPN first.
So I think we definitely got to go receiver here.
Yeah, I like
it up a little bit.
I like a lot of these guys that you've got on here. You can go Devontae Smith, but
I'll let you pick this one.
I like Metcalf and Moore. I like Moore because I think that they're going to have a great season in Chicago. So I'd say it's Metcalf or Moore. If Ayuk's back in, in San Francisco, then it's going to be the same as it was last year. I had Ayuk last year, and the guy who owned Debo was trying so hard to get me to trade for Debo for Ayuk straight up. And he knew why. He knew that Ayuk is the possession receiver. In a PPR league, Ayuk is going to get more touches. Debo is going to get some yards on the ground. He's going to get the occasional breakout. But Ayuk, man, he's the horse.
Yeah.
So I now knowing what we know, I would take a look at Ayuk later on if he's not already gone off the board. He was projected in a lot of mocks because of him not signing in like the 4th round. So I don't even know if he's on here anymore.
I have like just a weird feeling, man, that now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like negative like on a lot of veteran players. I think the young boys are going to take over this year. I don't think like I said, it's not that Cooper Cup isn't a good receiver. I just think, you know, Cooper Cup, if you look at his entire career, he had those 2 really good seasons. But if you look outside of that,
right,
it's been average. But those 2 seasons were so good that you forget about the other 7 that were like mediocre, like seriously mediocre. Now, granted, that was before Stafford got there. So that was the change. He got Goff throwing to him. Now you got Stafford throwing to him. But speaking of Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, didn't they just pick up another wide receiver that Kansas City cut or something like that?
Yeah, I forget.
Got another guy like that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like that he's any danger of taking over a roster spot, but yeah, I mean, it's somebody that they can rely on.
Maybe Jameson Williams can finally have a breakout or something. They've been, dangling him the whole time. All right, we're coming up here. Let me look at this draft board. So we're coming up here soon. Like tight ends are now coming off the board.
I would look at tight end only because when people start snatching them up, you don't want to end up at the bottom of the barrel.
Right. Man, it's a lot. There's a lot of tight ends that you can't go wrong with. Almost anybody in this top 10. Kyle Pitts still has to show me. I know you made a good point with Washington, but he still had to show me something.
I mean, he's worth taking only for that instances that he's got a better quarterback throwing him the ball. So,
yeah. All right, we got all right, let's take your boy Pitts. You like Pitts or Kittle here?
I would. It's a mock, so I take Pitts. I mean, seriously, I like Kittle, but I have had Kittle in other leagues, and I think I'd rather take a risk. I mean, if it were my real draft, I probably wouldn't take either of them. I'd probably look and go, "Oh, look, McBride's gone, Kelsey's gone, Laporte is gone. Look at that." I think Pitts or Kittle was going to be the best one that you could get. Maybe even Dalton Schultz, with Houston, I would take a flyer there.
Yeah.
So I think a risk with Pitts is fine.
You for me,
with this next pick, are you thinking we've got 4 quarterbacks off the board? I think there's still plenty out there.
I was
run out with a wide out again.
I'm thinking in the perfect world, I'm going quarterback. I'm definitely trying to find a quarterback now, especially 6th round. If we can go quarterback, if you don't want to go quarterback, we can go. Let's look at all players.
That is flex. Richardson is probably the best of the bunch there, or Stroud. Good Lord, I think Stroud's going to have a massive year.
For sure. I
would take Stroud right now, looking at the best available. If he doesn't come off the board, I would take him.
All right, we can queue him up.
Yeah, I would take Stroud for sure. I would be ecstatic with that. After look at the draft results real quick. Now we know Mahomes is Mahomes, but Josh Allen in the first round that's the first round, right?
That is the first round.
Yeah, it's smoking crack. Lamar's a solid pick. You got Richardson as the pick and Kyler Murray, and now we get Stroud. I would take Stroud over Murray and Richardson, not Mahomes or Lamar or Hurts, but I would take Stroud 4th. I would take him before Josh Allen, to be honest with you. Who has Josh Allen got in Buffalo right now?
Oh man. Oh, that makes sense why Buddy picked up Shakir.
Yeah.
I was a little dumbfounded by that. Like, man, Shakir, you can get him anytime, but oh man, it gives more reason to pick up Kincaid. I tell you what. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about Buffalo pretty much.
McBride is a solid, tight end for Atlanta. He's got a lot of buzz around him. I'm not 100%, but like I said, and Kincaid, I'm okay because Josh Allen has nobody to throw the ball to. So whoever took him in the first round, yeah, that was crazy. I would look at this list and I would be ecstatic. I mean, if I couldn't get Stroud, then Kyler and Richardson for sure, and then Jaden Daniels down the line. But we got a little ways before. So now we've got most of our starting lineup except for our flex. And so we can look at
you probably don't think this is crazy, but if I tell you what, if I haven't drafted a quarterback at this point, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably just get him last.
Yeah,
because I don't know.
So many.
I'm getting Mahomes. I always get Mahomes 7 years straight. I've had
Burrow's
Mahomes
not off the board.
Year. Huh?
Burrow's not off the board. Burrow's going to have a solid year.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
Dak always puts up numbers too.
Yeah, he puts up numbers. So there's quarterbacks to be had. It's so deep for quarterback. That's why I was kind of thinking, hey, let's get our flex first. But then I saw Stroud was available. I think Stroud's going to have an awesome year. Look at who's left available as far as our flex. If we can get Diggs, he's still out there. Why wouldn't you take Diggs?
Let's see, Burrow.
You double him up with CJ Stroud, man. That'd be woo.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna have a great
Tank Bell right here too.
But I think with Diggs there, you know how Diggs is. If he doesn't get his reception,
but Tank Dell takes the roof off, man.
He does.
Takes the roof off.
I think he does. I would take Diggs first, but if I couldn't get him, I would take Dell.
Right,
I'm not huge on McLaurin, and right now I know Jaden Daniels, but I just don't know how the chemistry will be. That's a risk.
Right.
Rashee Rice is great because he's going to be like the big target for Mahomes this year. Rashee Rice will be. Everybody's high on him, but I would go with Diggs, and that's what we did. Doubled up. I love that. I love that. Look at the receivers that we've got. Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, and Stephon Diggs. Come on. Look at the running backs, Barkley and Achane. I mean, we don't want to look at a backup running back, but we got three. Was that 3 bench positions, or is there more than that? Is there 6?
Let's see.
I think you scroll down. Yeah, there's 6. Yeah, that's what I figured.
6. All right, we're about to come around. We're 2 picks away. Let's get back.
All right, you go with the next one. I've said my piece and counted to 3.
We got our flex early for defense. Interesting here.
So again, we've got our starting lineup basically, except for kicker and defense, and look at the talent on the board. There's a lot. It's a very deep league.
I would take this flyer.
DeAndre Swift at Chicago. Who'd you got? Rashad?
I took Jaden Reed, man. I don't know. I just took a flyer. It was going to be that Keenan Allen. I don't know. I don't know, man. Look, see, my thing with the Bears.
I might have taken. Yeah, I don't mind Jaden Reed in there. I don't mind him in that spot. I might have taken Swift only as that third running back that you need. Yeah. I think he was solid for the Eagles last year. I think he just is the result of being able to get Barkley, not wanting to pay a ton of money for Swift and rather paying for Barkley. And that's why he's no longer an Eagle. But I liked what he did for the Eagles last year. He was outstanding. And he's probably, out of all the backs, I wouldn't touch Pollard for anything in the world. I had him last year on a good team, and he sucked. That's why he's not a Cowboy anymore.
Yeah, that is. He was with Titans.
Yeah, with the Titans. He's going to replace Henry, which good luck. But I tell you what, I would take Tyjae Spears. I think he's going to play better than Pollard this year.
Yeah, I picked him up a few times last year.
I know we're drafting on Sunday. Everything I'm saying right now, don't listen to it.
I got you. You have defense coming off finally in the 8th round. Defense started coming off the board.
Look at that. You know, that's the kind of thing that a lot of teams do in the draft because they want to flesh out every single starting piece and they want to go with the number 1 defense, number 1 kicker, whatever. You know what we do in our league, right? Waiver wire defense. Who is the worst team in the league? And hopefully you get them on the waiver wire so that you can rack up. If you can get the number 1 or number 2 defense, other than that,
right?
Defenses, they don't do anything for me. You get 10, 15 points a week. Yeah, I don't worry about defenses.
Let's go. All right, gotta start filling this bench up now.
Maybe let's
look for that third running back, or
well, yeah, I would say so. I mean, look, it's still available. They've got Swift is gone now. Chase Brown is out there.
I'm sorry,
Chase Brown is out there.
Damn, that's man. Eckler still there.
Yeah, but it's because he had such a bad year last year. I would be cautious.
I'm gonna go Spears since you like Spears. You want Spears?
No. White with Vegas. White with Vegas. Don't sleep on White. That's a great pick.
Right.
Yeah, don't sleep on Zamir White, man. He's gonna have. I'm surprised he's stuck out there that long. I didn't even notice him till right then at the last second. I was like, yeah, I love Spears and I love Brown, but damn, White. He is.
I'm not even familiar. Like, I'm not familiar with this game. Like, I know he played last year, but I'm not.
He came in for Jacobs, and it's the reason Jacobs is no longer with the Raiders. Not that he outshined Jacobs, it was that they knew they had something. So Zamir White has been high on a lot of boards. I'm surprised he dropped to us that. That's a great bench pick for us. Are we up again? All right, now I'll leave this one up to you. I mean, we've got.
Let's see here. I'm gonna get a receiver.
Yep.
If I was picking here, do we got any Chicago? We got more, so I don't want to go Keenan Allen. Or Rome. I'm gonna get him just because he's sitting around. I think he's solid, man. Brian Robinson Jr. I know they have Eckler there, but he's such a big back.
Interesting.
And if Eckler sleeps, man, he could be the bell cow. That's in hindsight, probably don't need him there. That's pretty early. Probably why he's still sitting there. But you need
some of the wide receivers. I like some of the wide receivers that were still on the board. I mean, Christian Kirk. But you got Jay. No, he's at Jacksonville now, so it doesn't even matter.
I was tripping. We already got our third. That's why we picked White right at the end, and I didn't even look at it. I should
Yeah,
have went.
all right. Well, we don't need any more running backs. So I think we're solid. Well, unless we go for Spears, but Spears is one of those that he's not. He's not the bell cow in Tennessee. It's going to be Pollard, but I guarantee you Pollard will not be getting the carries after week 3. So we'll see. Go back to the wide receivers that are left out there. Yeah, Calvin Ridley come off the board. I liked Godwin there. That's kind of who I was looking at. Looking Jackson Smith and Jibba's right there. I think is going to have a good year. Out of all these wide receivers, I would lean toward him.
Who's throwing the ball out there in Seattle?
Isn't it Geno still?
Is Geno still? You got Geno. You have it'll be tough. I had DK last year, and it was, man, I used to set it and pray that he get the ball because it was hit or miss, man. No matter who they put, I don't know, man. It's
you take chances you take. I think he's gonna be better this year.
I wonder if this guy is going to have a season. Up to us. Hold on. So I picked the Keon Coleman kid, the rookie. Let's see. All right. So I picked that last one. You want to go ahead and pick get us a receiver? You like Jackson?
Yeah, let's go with it. I mean,
Christian.
Why not? It's not that big. It's a mock.
Right. That's why I just kind of like.
And now we're in the bench players.
Other people are picking too.
Yeah. It's good to look at. Let's look at the board here. It's kind of good to see like all these defenses fly off the board. Of course, like I said, we got San Francisco went first, Baltimore, New York, Jets, of course, great defense. Cleveland, yeah, it's all solid. Dallas, probably going to be good. They got Gilmore back, and Trayvon Diggs will be back. So yeah, that's a good defense. Unfortunately,
who do we need? What holes do we need to fill? Probably another receiver. We could probably pick a defense now.
Yeah, why not? Look at them. We're at that point. We got 2 bench players.
Right.
What do they got? What's out there?
I had Miami last year.
Yeah, and they don't have Vic Fangio this year, so I don't know if that's going to be good or bad.
Good or bad, right? Let's go Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly.
The thing with Philly, with Vic Fangio, it's an unknown. They've got players.
Yeah, I rode Miami all last year, man. They did well for me last year, and I dropped them right at the end. But up until that, man, they were just consistent for me, man. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, I like
Miami, but they were consistent.
So we look at that in this draft, how they fell to us, and I would be happy with the Eagles defense. That'd probably be one of the few in our league deep, defenses I would be happy with as far as taking Philly for anything. Back to us again.
Dallas Goedert just comes off the board that late, 13th round.
Interesting. He's not considered one of the top tier tight ends right now, and especially because he's got so many other weapons to contend with.
Goddard is. All right, all right, who we got here?
We got Nick Chubb on the PUP list, and he's going to come off.
Oh, who did they pick for us? Oh, they picked somebody for us. Oh, they picked the Miami's defense for us. Get out of here!
You got to be quick.
30 seconds, man. It's like I wanted Keon Cole or Shakir here because he's going to have to throw the ball to somebody. I'm telling you.
It's great how it picked 2 defenses.
That's weird. Like, why would the auto draft even do that?
Pick another defense. Well, I'm surprised he didn't pick a kicker.
Right. That makes no sense to just.
But you got D-Hop. You got D-Hop. I would queue D-Hop up, and he's questionable right now, but he's going to play.
I don't know. I'm staying away from them old names, man. I'm getting these young guys, man. You got Keon Cole, this rookie here. He's explosive. I think this is going to be Josh Allen's number 1 weapon this year, Keon Cole. You heard it here first.
Well, he's not got much other than that.
Waiver wire. You heard it here first. This kid is a freak, man.
Yep.
He's a hell of an athlete.
And look at where we're at. We're toward the end, and there's still some running backs to be had. I think that.
Let's take this pick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I said I'll let you take this pick. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. We got one more bench pick, right?
Yeah.
Let's go for one of these running backs. Let's go with, if you want to go young head, let's go Blake Corum, or I'm not doing Elliott for sure. Or you could just take a flyer on Chubb and wait for him to come off a freaking pup.
Right.
I mean, seriously, might as well take him. I mean, if nobody else is going to touch
If
him.
he's there.
And so now all we need is a kicker and you're done, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Since we got 2 defenses.
That's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for Yahoo even triggering that.
I got a good laugh out of it, so I ain't complaining.
I'm getting young ho. I said I wanted to get I'm getting the young hoes. I'm getting young ho. No, somebody took my young ho. No.
You said it out loud. Somebody's watching this while we're doing it. They heard you.
Even in the mock draft won't let me live.
You got Dicker the kicker. Yeah, Dicker the kicker.
Dicker the kicker. He played for the Eagles once, so.
Yeah, I'm sure Jake is already gone, huh? Yeah.
He played for the Eagles once. So
yeah.
Cameron come in like one game and kick the big field goal for us.
Yep. Is when Jake was hurt.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I guess
I got out of it. I forgot. I clicked the wrong button.
Like you're going to keep it anyway, so it was good. That was good.
Anyway,
other than taking Miami.
yeah, man. But it gets us to see what's out there for the draft. I've done a lot of mock drafts, but I still can't see it, man. I think I'm really high on the young players. I really am. I'm young player bias. It has nothing to do with those other guys. I'm just young player bias. I think these guys, man, are hungry and they've been playing at a high level in college. And a lot of these guys are coming right in here. That's why we had the Tank Dells last year. Think about receivers last year, the young boys, man. Eco, Tank. Like, you had a lot of Jaden Reed, Christian Watson. You have these little Dobbs. You'll have these guys that came out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah.
And you even I don't know, man. I just think, Guyton, if he could catch, he could have had a hell of a year last year out there in San Diego. Another young receiver. That's why Keenan Allen's not there anymore, because they have Guyton. Guyton fixed them hands, which it was the ones that he dropped were big drops. That was, it's not that he can't catch. He's a solid receiver, but he dropped the big ones. He catch those, whole different year for him. So I'm high on the young guys, man. I really am. I don't think the likes of like Breece Hall was an anomaly. I think that's going to continue to happen, man. And these guys are good. Now looking at this, I think if Keon Cole is available that late, I'm taking him. Josh Allen, they're going to throw the ball. I don't even know who's the running back.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're going to throw the ball to somebody.
So I think for the people watching this live, which we've got a few people in the stream, but there are people that will watch this afterwards. Everybody's seeking out fantasy football advice, especially right before their drafts. A lot of people have already done their drafts. I like doing the draft the week of the season, because then, like you said, we've got the Ayuk situations already settled. Now, granted, we could have gotten Ayuk in like the 4th or 5th round because people would have been scared of taking him. I would have taken him in the 3rd. But the thing is that you're right, and you make a great point. The people that watch this, if you want to win your drafts, Tubby's right. This is a mantra every single year. When you go for these, you remember who was the running back for Arizona that was so good? Everybody took him number 1. Injured David
Johnson.
Yeah, David Johnson. Sorry.
Man.
And it was like there's several years ago. And so it seems like that number 1 guy. This year, the number 1 guy is McCaffrey. Now, last year, I got McCaffrey number 2 in our league, and without him, I probably wouldn't have made the playoffs. But then he disappeared for me at the end of the season because he was, not really injured, but banged up and not producing toward the end of the year. And the 49ers had kind of wrapped things up, and it really sucked for me.
Yeah.
So I'd love to have him again, but I think you're right with looking at youth, and there's less of a propensity to get injured. You've got fresher, younger legs. You've got youthful enthusiasm. I definitely would make a list going into our draft on Sunday of all of the young players that I want to target, so that when we do our live draft, and by the way, everybody who is come to our channel on YouTube, our live draft is going to be aired on our YouTube channel. And if you didn't catch it last year, it was an absolute blast.
It was.
We usually get a lot of the players in the draft, not all, but we get as many as we can. And we are able to watch the draft live, and people get to trash talk while we're doing it. So before we do our draft on Sunday, I think that's one of the things I'm really going to look. I've already got my list,
Right.
my wish list. But man, when you get in the heat of battle and that clock is ticking, and you don't realize that somebody on your wish list is gone, you didn't mark them off, then you've got to jump. Go youth, man. Go
And
youth.
think about this. I can't even set a list because I'm hosting the draft. I told East that too. I said, you know how big of a disadvantage I'm at that I can't even set my board up. I can't even do it.
Yep.
I can't even set the board up. I can't do any of it. I have to draft like on the fly or like make notes because anybody I illuminate, people can see. I remember
on the sleeper,
I mentioned something about Kelsey, and Rob was like, I wasn't going to pick him, but okay, just pick Kelsey. Like, okay, rob me. Like,
yeah, exactly. Well, you've always been a Mahomes Kelsey guy. It's won you leagues before, so it could again this year. Who knows? But I think there's a lot of competition out there for sure. I think it's going to be a little bit harder for the Chiefs to repeat.
Yeah,
I will say this on the sleeper app. Are we picking on that, or can you go directly to the website and log in?
We're picking on the sleeper app. But you said as far as
I don't know if I can bring it up on my computer. I haven't even looked into that yet.
Yeah. You can bring. I'm using it on the website. I'm just logged in.
Okay, all right. So I'll make sure I do that and kind of build my list. I've had
have an app. If you have Google Play, you can download it. But I'll just go straight to the website.
I'm old school. I got to do the old Excel list. I import shit into there and then just kind of make my list with my tabs. I'm freaking old hat for that, but I will bring up the sleeper app so that I can kind of tag my players in advance because don't want to be hung out to dry when the clock is ticking.
Yeah. All right, man. It was definitely good to be back.
Yeah.
So we don't need to go too long. But yeah, man, Lee made a lot of good points, man. Definitely marking the players and things. Whatever your tradition is, I would say stick to it. Definitely do your research. Like Greg was saying, in the heat of the battle, it gets a little crazy, and all of a sudden you may be swayed by the draft board. You told yourself, I'm not picking a quarterback in the fourth round until after the fourth round. Then you start seeing them flying off the board. Do you have that resolve to say, I'm going to wait. But, you start seeing a defense come off, 6th, 7th round. Don't fall for it, man. Stick to your draft. Do what works for you. And the draft isn't the season. I say that all the time. I've had A+ in drafts and had terrible seasons. I've had C's in drafts and damn near won the league. So, but yeah, man, if everybody can come on back for Saturday, it's going to be 1 Eastern. No, Sunday. That's right. We switched. Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday, 1 Eastern, right here. The fantasy waiver wire. It's going to be a hell of a season, man. And man, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to my birds. I really am, man. And of course, my Chelsea and everything else in between. You got anything before we get out of here?
No, man, I'm really looking forward just to the season and having some real football this weekend. We got real college football, a whole full slate. Everything's good. I do have another podcast called Box Office Battles with Greg and Eric. You can check that out. We do a movie review podcast, and it's a lot of fun. We basically pit 2 films up against each other and then let the fur fly. This week we had Caddyshack versus Happy Gilmore. And needless to say, the other host and I, we got into a heated debate over which movie was better. I'm a Caddyshack guy. He's a Happy Gilmore guy. And if we hadn't been in the same room, we might have come to blows. I don't know.
Really?
But it's a lot of fun because we debate and we argue. So check that out. It's on YouTube as well. So I'm a busy man.
Yeah. Hey, that's good, man. That's good. I'm gonna start checking you guys out too. I love my movies as well. And I would definitely go Caddyshack there.
I'm gonna put you down for a vote because when we don't agree, we let the audience choose. And right now, Caddyshack is losing. It's like 75 to 45%, somewhere on there.
Yeah. I understand why it could somewhat be compared, but Caddyshack is just on a different level. Just historically, I don't want to start rambling on about the movies, but it's just I'm trying to even wrap my anyway.
I took you down another rabbit hole.
All right. Come back Sunday. 1:00. We will be here. Hopefully you get to meet some of the players from our fantasy football league. May get an advice from them for your draft. Until then, man, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys on Sunday. Later.